Documentary filmmaker. He has done a lot of work on documenting homelessness in America. Then we have somebody who can speak on the county level, Jane Piasek, who will speak from her experience as county nurse. And then speaking from the experience up close and personal in our own town and how it affects things in our town, we have Frank Canavan, who can speak from his experience doing so much good work over at the community pantry. So I hope you can come for that event. We have a donation jar. We're going to try to have a donation jar at all our events, and donations will go to the community pantry. Trying to think, the next event we're going to have after this one is on the 11th. That's going to be Zephyr Teachout, who is also running for the 19th district of the for U.S. House 19th district. And the whole reason we're having these events is that we're trying to start a dialogue with the community. That if we reach out to the community and find out what issues are important and start a dialogue, that's the process to getting better answers and building a better community. Tonight we're very fortunate to have Will Yandik, who is the candidate running for the U.S. House of Representatives in our 19th district. The reason we brought Will here, and we'll bring Zephyr here as well, is back in February, we had the opportunity in the county committee to hear both of these candidates speak. And I mean, I was impressed with their bios and their backgrounds, but hearing them speak, I mean, they kind of knocked my socks off. I mean, these are people who are passionate about our area and our communities. They understand, I mean, talk about issues dialogue, have an understanding of both the national issues, the issues that affect our state, but also the issues that affect our community. I mean, Will comes from this district and comes from a farm background and really knows the stuff. And he's the sort of person that you want to have, you know, representing you and speaking for you on the national level. After Will speaks, we will have a question and answer period. And I guess that's it. So without any further ado, please join me in welcoming our candidate for U.S. House of Representatives in the 19th District, Will Yandik. All right.
So it's a big district, 11 counties, mid-Hudson Valley, all the way to Cooperstown and the Pennsylvania border. We've been doing a lot of these. I've been coming to lots of groups like yourselves. Something I just want to get off my chest right away. I am old enough to run for the U.S. House of Representatives. Okay? I know that I don't look that. I am 38. I'm the same age, if you can believe it, that Kirsten Gillibrand was when she first ran for this district seat. I'm old enough to be a father, and I am a father for the first time in my life, 3 weeks into it. So my first baby boy was born John Abraham, 2 old family names, and he was a whopping 9 pounds, 9 ounces. We're going to make a farmer out of a kid that big. Not getting a lot of sleep. People said when I ran for Congress I wouldn't get a lot of sleep. Now with the newborn, definitely not happening. But I'm thinking from a campaign perspective it could be a good thing for me. So instead of looking so young and inexperienced, probably 2 hours of the 2 more months of sleeping 2 hours at night, I'll probably be so white-haired and haggard that you're going to think your third choice is going to be Bernie Sanders in this race. So, very proud to be a father, very happy to be here. Thank you for that wonderful introduction. You know, I'm running for Congress to represent the community that I grew up in, to do what I can to return power back into the hands of ordinary people, and to try to make upstate New York a place where our kids and grandkids can make a living again. I grew up on a farm that my great-grandfather John purchased in 1915. It's a fruit and vegetable operation. We just celebrated our 100-year anniversary last year that we're very proud of. And my story is like so many of your stories, the story of the great American immigrant success story. We came here from Eastern Europe at the turn of the last century, and here I am 4 generations later, having gone through the public school system, great public school teachers. I got scholarships to Princeton and Brown. But that's usually where the story ends for people like me. They get degrees like that, they move off to a city somewhere, and you never see them again. And I came back to this area because, like you, I believe in this place, I love it, and I want to fight for it. But I think we have a lot of work to do in this country if the same opportunities that were there for my great-grandfather, John, will be there for my son, John. And we won't have the kind of country that we need if we have another 25 years of trade deals that eviscerate the American worker. We are not going to have the money that we need to invest in education or infrastructure if a corporation can literally open up a post office box in the Bahamas and shirk their duty to the U.S. Treasury. We can't have young people move back to New York 19 if they're saddled with college debt well into their 40s and 50s or can't afford basic health care for their families as well. I've spent my whole career working on issues and trying to stand up for the community that I grew up in. Why am I qualified for this position? Well, I've been a journalist for the past 15 years, and that's taught me a lot. I think if you want to represent your people and understand issues as complex as those that come before the House of Representatives, you should be somebody that's studied lots of subjects. I've covered how big pharmaceutical companies game the Food and Drug Administration and market analog drugs, painkillers that hook our communities on opiates. One of my very first jobs was covering a beat on the Hudson River, where General Electric, one company and its lawyers, shirked their duty to clean up the Hudson River of PCBs that shut down a 300-year-old commercial fishery. I've worked for AARP since 2004, covering senior issues and issues for the disabled. I founded something called the Hudson Valley Smart Energy Coalition that tried to oppose a large transmission project build-out that went through 3 of the counties of this district. It would have asked you, the ratepayers, to shell out $1.3 billion for an industry giveaway, for a set of transmission lines that failed every cost-benefit analysis and would have extended the life of old coal and gas-fired power plants in the western part of the state. The worst part of that proposal is it would have taken people's land through eminent domain over 153 miles. We've been fighting that. Instead of just saying, don't build it in my backyard, trying to work for other transmission solutions and other clean energy solutions that actually do deliver an energy future that's good for us. You know, I stood up to those people in my community that said a Democrat like myself could not win in the town of Livingston, where Republicans outnumbered Democrats 2-1. And I've not only been elected and re-elected as the deputy supervisor, but I've managed to get progressive wins with an all-Republican board, like banning hydrofracking and using town resources to help other towns ban hydrofracking, to support more solar in my town and change our zoning codes to facilitate that process, and to develop resources for our historic and cultural resources in the town. I'm very proud of that, of working with my Republican colleagues, because the next person that we send to Congress is going to have to do that. And so, how do we revitalize upstate New York? How do we make New York 19 a place that we're proud of, that attracts young people, that perhaps might keep my son here? You know, I think it starts with building on the bright spots that we have. And so the first thing that we really need to do is develop infrastructure for universal broadband, internet, and cellular coverage. This is such a key economic development issue. When we're looking for jobs that we can create in this district, so many of those jobs are in the knowledge economy. There are people that want to live in this district because of the beautiful natural amenities we have, because it is a good place to raise a kid. But they can't do that if they can't get online. And this is one of the most underserved regions in the country. I have people on my staff, like Tony here is my campaign manager, other members of my staff that I've brought in to take and work on this campaign that have worked in races in Oklahoma, have worked in races in Texas and rural Pennsylvania, areas more rural than we are. And here we are a few hours north of New York City, and so many of our folks can't get online. You can't even have an auto repair shop anymore without getting online for the diagnostic software to be able to do your job. It is a core business issue. Why has it not happened? Why have so many politicians keep talking about broadband and it doesn't happen? We have to basically regulate internet for what it is, a public utility, a public good. We need to fight monopolies to increase competition so that there are multiple providers. And we need to invest in it, right? I mean, we were down this road before in the 1930s and 40s with the rural electrification program. And at the end of that federal investment period, every dairy farmer in this district had an electricity line to their barn or home. So it can be done, and it needs to be done. You know, there is an exciting emerging food and tourism market in this region. It's not going to employ everybody, but it's a bright spot. I can't pick up a magazine that doesn't say good things about the Catskills or Hudson River Valley these days. And there's a real opportunity there. There's a real opportunity for the next person that we send to Congress to reauthorize the Farm Bill, to make the Farm Bill a document that does something for the Northeast, does something for the diversified agriculture that we have here, and not just more corn subsidies and soy subsidies and ethanol subsidies that don't create the kind of food economy that we need in this district. We are a graying district here in New York 19. I've mentioned I've worked for AARP. We're 10 years older than the national median age in New York 19, and we are losing population in this district. So it's critical that our representative understands how we have to redirect more federal dollars to home and community-based services, particularly for the rural poor and the elderly that are rural. It's difficult for them to get to their services. But what's exciting is that AARP has found that it's actually cheaper in the long run to invest a little bit on the front end, giving somebody a home-delivered meal or a home health aide for a few hours a day, than it will be to have Medicare pay for their nursing home prematurely for many more years over the life of their span. And there are innovative programs that are not expensive, that can really help folks in this district, like ride and share programs. With a small federal grant, we can establish these programs throughout the district where if somebody's perfectly capable of living on their own but just is a little shaky to drive, that they can either donate their car or a portion of that to a volunteer that can get them to the doctor or the grocery, to buy their groceries once or twice a week, to extend that lifespan to help them age at home as long as they can. Obviously, with that goes being a strong advocate for defending Social Security and Medicare, because there are still many voices in the U.S. House of Representatives that seek to privatize these core programs. And they work, and they reward hard work. The longer you work, the better the benefits that you get and accrue. These are flagship Democratic proposals that have lifted up the middle class and kept a secure middle class for generations. And they're savable. By 2034, we will only be able to pay 75% of our Social Security and Medicare benefits. We can do things now, simple things in the House of Representatives, like raising the payroll tax cap, that can keep these programs solvent. That's something that I'm eager to work with and on through my many years as being a reporter for AARP and working on senior issues. And the clean energy revolution is something that I've worked on. My educational background is in environmental studies. And I think this is really exciting. When people talk to me and ask, you know, what's something that you think you can work with Republicans on? I think clean energy is really there for a simple reason. We're at this moment, this exciting moment in this country, where we're able to do things like invest in clean energy, not only because it's good for the planet, but because it puts dollars back